are watching the number one podcast in the whole entire YouTube wrestling community, and I'm one of your hosts, Juanzo.
And I'm your other host, Jean-Paul Leck.
And together we are Raw Break. And family, how's every single one of you tonight? And it's our time to talk about AEW Dynamite. Jean-Paul, once again, we go back to like double shows. You know, we don't have the luxury of like doing Tuesday or Thursday, you know, going back and forth, kind of like, can we live? That's like, because we keep getting the shows.
We did get to enjoy a decent, or I would actually say pretty good episode of Impact though last night. So.
Oh yeah, it was a pretty good episode of Impact. You know, we're gonna like give you like Saturday. You know, Jean-Paul will touch a little bit upon like what happened on Impact. I enjoyed it. It was good. And we got a main event for what is going to be Bound for Glory. It's going to be Eric Young and Rick Swann. Like I said,
who predicted that?
Well, we said it. Jean-Paul said like that's the money feud. So thank you so very much for being with us. Don't forget like we have a great video on Monday Night Raw. Jean-Paul and myself covering everything that happened with like Keith Lee, Drew McIntyre in the main event, going against like each other because like we don't know what's going to happen at Clash of Champions quite yet. Maybe. Like next week, we'll know for sure what happens. But Retribution ended up screwing the party or spoiling the party. So like, don't forget about that. For the soccer fans that we have out there, I did a video on a Copa Libertadores for Jean-Paul Egg because he promised that he's gonna watch soccer. Next year. That's one of like his like 2021. New Year's resolutions. So it's gonna be a great stuff. Liga against Binacional, Copa Libertadores for every single one of you that like soccer. Hey, support us on that also. But now let's talk about Jean-Paul Dynamite. And Dynamite, I was overall pretty decent, right? Not too bad, Yeah,
it was.
What's Jean-Paul feel?
Yeah, I mean, if we'll touch on the main event when we get there, but if that would have ended a little differently, I would have been that, in a lot better mood to be like, this was a pretty good episode. But with that, I'm like, eh. But overall, I mean, this wasn't a bad episode of Dynamite. I enjoyed, I would say, more than I disliked. So, I would say it gets it. If you go by that, it gets the thumbs up in my book.
Yeah, it gets the thumbs up. Like you said, the main event, it was probably going to be like one of the best matches in 2020 because I was really enjoying that. But then, they had to do like little screw it up in the main event. But I don't, we'll touch upon when we get there. But let's open up Jean-Paul with like, FTR going against the Jurassic Express. We had to see like the Young Bucks right away doing a super kick party to the refs. And done. And everybody's like, oh, they're going to get fined for that. $5,000 each. So it will be $10,000 for the ones that know how to act. And then we got to see a cameo from Tony Khan, right, Jean-Paul? Or like Robert Stone. And that was pretty much the beginning of the match, right? And then we got to see FTR coming out. They put on a really good match. I really like this. The ones kind of like aerial side, more like, like really quick sequences when it comes to Jurassic Express. A little like slower on FTR, but like of course going as a real tag team. What do you think?
No, I like this match a lot more than I thought I would because I was like, usually when Luchasaurus, he's always trying to do the flippy stuff, and it's like that's kind of Jungle Boy's game. So for him to do that, it's like it's awkward. Like I said, I want Luchasaurus to work more like Kane, like a big man like that. And tonight, I think he did. The only real flippy thing I saw was when he did that, shooting star press he always does after the choke slam.
Yeah.
So, so that's like his signature. But I thought this was a good match. The only complaint I really have on FTR's end is, why the fuck do you have Tully Blanchard out there and he don't interfere? There was one spot, I forget which one of them was, they got hit with a big move. I think it was that knee, and then when Jungle Boy did that clothesline, I think it was that combination, or it was some big move, and one of FTR was right by the ropes, and he's laying there like dead. And I'm like, oh, Tully's going to grab his arm or something.
Nothing.
And he just yells at him like, oh, kick out. And he kicks out. I'm like, why the fuck are you here? Or he could have grabbed the ref or like something. I'm like, Tully is like useless because he didn't interfere in that match also.
And they're supposed to be
the pay-per-view. Right? Yeah.
They're supposed to be healed.
Yeah, exactly. So that I didn't get. But I mean, overall, it was a good match. FTR, they did cheat though to win, and they're like, there was the distraction. So that was good. But I mean, the only thing, it was kind of like, I don't like how it's, nobody really knows who's the number one contender. They're like, oh yeah, if the Jurassic Express wins, they'll be the new number one contender. And then commentary's like, what are they? And they're like, yeah, FTR said if they beat them, and it's like nobody even knows. Like it's like, come on, let's just.
Well, like it does.
If you present it professional, we'll see it as professional.
Yes, I don't know, Jean-Paul. I just feel that like what they do is just like they try to present it like serious, but sometimes it's like I don't know if they're trying to screw up the seriousness intentionally. I don't know if it is like that, but like you said, it's like, really, who's the number one contender? I'm like, really? You guys need to know because you guys are telling me the story. If you guys don't know, I'm not gonna know either. But like in the end, of course, the FTR do using like heel tactics. Like I think Dax was like holding on the ropes, and then that was able, like, they were able to flip out like Jungle Boy. Then they get the count when they did the sunset flip. 1, 2, 3. They get the win. And FTR pretty much, there's, like you said, there's no number one contender.
Yeah, because they also
push really quick. Who will you push? Who is in your book? Like, who could be like a potential number one contender there?
I would say either, this team, but they lost here. So, I would say with what we saw later on tonight, I would say Private Party, because I don't see FTR losing the belts until it's against the Young Bucks. Even though that'll be heel versus heel, I think they're going to eventually just turn FTR face. Like, sometime from now to when they face the Young Bucks, they'll be face, and then you can do that matchup. But I would say Private Party, they look good. They're not really pushing any other tag teams. I don't want to see I don't really want to see I don't want to see Jericho and Hager, because they kind of just formed. Let them get some wins. Maybe the Best Friends. We could see that, So I don't know. We'll see.
Be cool because, like, now they got a really great win over, like, in the main event. We're gonna talk about that when we get there. But like, the Best Friends will be a good idea. But see, that was a hot opening of Dynamite. They always, like, most of, I would say 95% of the time they do that, and it was good. Mm-hmm. So now let's talk about your boy, Jean Paul, Adam Hangman Page, or like Hangman Adam Page, like people call it. I like to call it different. I like to call it Adam Hangman Page. When he went against Frankie Kazarian, this match was like really, really good. Frankie Kazarian, I don't know why. I know he's with SCU with like Christopher Daniels. I understand that, but like, I love him as a singles guy. I used to be like really behind him in the days of Impact, of TNA, and now that he fought Adam Hangman Page, I really enjoyed the match. I really love the spot that, like, he did, like the Gargano, like the last beat that he does. Like, it was the same thing, the DDT from like the outside. It was good, and Page looked really well, and we had Kenny Omega on commentary. So that was, like, I guess, kind of like they still teasing what's gonna happen between these two. But in the end, Adam Hangman Page got the win. I knew that this was gonna happen because Kazarian is pretty much stacked for live right now. So tell me a little bit about this, Jean Paul.
Yeah, no, I thought this was a hell of a match. I saw AEW, they retweeted a tweet from Kazarian, and his tweet was wrestling on Dynamite tonight. So what does that tell you? He said, if I'm wrestling, that means there's going to be wrestling on. Then that means other people don't wrestle? So even people, like we said, people in the own company know something's up. But no, he was correct. This was a hell of a match. And like you said, Hangman was going to get the win. They're not going to push Kazarian, even though he's a hell of a wrestler. I'd like to see a push. But that's the problem. They already have way too many stars.
Yeah.
Stars, I'll say, in this company that they're pushing. And it's like, who are you going to put the belt on? Because you can't push everybody. You can't put the belt on everybody. So obviously, Hangman Page, he's the future of this company. You're going to push him. And I think with everything Kenny was saying, like, when I eventually start having singles matches and I start winning, I'll start rising in the ranks too. Because they mentioned Hangman, he was the first guy to challenge for the belt against Jericho.
Yeah.
And then, all this stuff. So they're like, so we know he's a good singles competitor. So I think eventually down the line, their paths are going to cross. Hopefully it's for number one contender.
It will be good, like, see that, and then you go complete the Ascension, and then you kind of tease the rivalry, but it was good. Kenny on commentary, it didn't bother me too much. It kind of was like a little bit less than Ziggler for me, and then Ziggler grew on me, but like Kenny was on for that match. But like Kenny was like, okay, not overwhelming, not overbearing.
The only thing is when he turns full heel, I want to hear a little bit more like ugh in his voice instead of just being like, oh yeah.
Yeah, it's legit. I want to see
exactly.
Like, but in the end, Adam Hangman Page came out with like, like the pretty much like the cowboy stuff, and then he got like the discus lariat, or like, what is it called?
The buckshot lariat.
Buckshot lariat, that's what he did, like his finisher, and then he pins Frankie Kazarian, and Adam Hangman Page like kind of like he was looking for Kenny. They were looking for like interaction, but Kenny, as soon as he won, he put the the headset down, and then he left. So that's what we see. We will know what keeps going on with like Adam Hangman Page and Kenny Omega. Maybe a match on the 14th, or maybe next time that they have a pay-per-view that will be Full Gear. So we'll see what happens on that. But I'm really happy with Adam Hangman Page getting more wins, because like he is a good singles guy. There's no doubt that he could be like the main star in AEW. That could be him, MJF. They should be like the main stars. Talking about MJF, Jean Paul, he got a really quick match. Like really like 3 seconds and done. 3 seconds and done. He beat Sean Dean, or Sean Dean. He beat him in legit 3 seconds.
Yeah,
what the soul of the air right away.
Yeah, I think he did like an eye poke, or he kicked him in the ball. It was some kind of like heel move, and then, like you said, salt of the earth, done. See, I don't know why you had to have that. Just have him come out and cut the promo that he cut, and then, you know what I mean? That's what he should have just came out with Wardlow after the match. See, even if he, like when Hangman was walking back, you could have had Wardlow and MJF come out, and they bump shoulders and they stare down like, oh, hinting at a future matchup, like MJF. Oh, I'm just going to disrespect you, Hangman. Who the fuck do you think you are? I know I'm MJF, and then they bump and they give each other the look like, all right, and then
you tease it for a little later.
Yeah, exactly. But they had this useless match. But I mean, like I said, it was all just for the promo.
It was for the promo because Jean Paul now MJF wants to be called. He's looking at us. He's pissed. He's looking at you and me. He says that like he wants to be called the undefeated, undisputed, uncrowned champion because Moxley cheated. That's like the whole like theme of it. And he's a Dictator John. He keeps going with that names to John Moxley. He keeps using that kind of beverage. And I mean, I think it's okay. I like how he used Justin Roberts. He's like, hey, make sure you call me like that. Can you start introducing me like that? And Justin Roberts goes like, so undefeated, uncrowned. And he's like, no. He's like, do it,
he's like, do it legit or.
Yeah, do it legit or I'll slap you. And then he goes, like he did it semi-legit. He didn't do full legit. So that's why he's pissed, right there. That. But I mean, I don't know where this is going, though, Jean-Paul. I don't know where this is going.
I mean, something that kind of just popped in my head, which I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, Jean-Paul, that's bullshit. We just want to see Lance Archer. And so do I. But it's a simple thing to fix this. You have Lance Archer, who's the clear number one contender. You have Eddie Kingston, who's like, I got thrown through the middle ropes. You know the rules. It's over the top. This is bullshit. And then you have, MJF, who's like, Moxley cheated. Put him in a triple threat. Yeah. Boom, the winner. And then you just have Lance Archer go over.
Yeah. I mean, that will be cool because you're fixing everything. But, I don't know, AEW, they haven't done that yet. So I think that they like to keep it, title matches like a singles. But for me, I will be happy with that.
No, I'm saying that you have him be a triple threat for number one contender.
Oh, well, also, that will be fine too. But, they will not do that.
Because then you can just do Eddie Kingston and his guys maybe going after, like, Wardlow and MJF for a little bit and then, do something with that.
Actually, yeah. And then who the clear number one contender is. But, they will not do that because they're already promoting, like, the match with, like, Lance Archer and John Moxley for the anniversary of Impact. And talking about Eddie Kingston, like you said, he had a promo right there with the Lucha Bros, the Butcher and the Blade. And he was saying, like you said, exactly the same words. It's like, I was the one. I never got eliminated. I was never eliminated from the Battle Royale. So, like, I should be the one challenging John Moxley for the AEW Championship. And then they had a few interactions, right, Jean Paul?
I mean, he was just because he's just like, oh, we're a family, and what do families do? Sometimes they fight, and then they pick people out of the crowd, start beating the shit out of them, beating all these people down, and they're pretty much just like, yeah, we're dominant. And that's the one thing MJF said. Every week there's a new faction, there's a new group. Like what the hell is this place? Like what's going on here? And then he mentioned the Wolf Pack, so that was kind of legit. But
that was legit, yeah.
Yeah, but then there's this, and they stand tall in the ring. But the biggest pop I got out of all this, because I'm like, okay, whatever, unless these guys do something legit, it's like, what does this all mean? It's for nothing. But when he said to the Blade, he's like, go take care of your house. And JR and Tony Schiavone, they're all like, huh? What does that mean? And I'm like, if we don't see him beating the shit out of QT Marshall next week, then come on. Then why do you even hint this like storyline?
That was good though. I really like that. When you make it like that tease of real life. Sent to me, absolutely popping, like you said, like Ali with like QT Marshall, really knowing, and then that's the one thing is like they pair up people knowing that we know in the real life that they're married.
Well, see, I think Eddie Kingston probably said that like a shoot, and they were probably like, oh fuck, now we got to roll with it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because everybody catches on, like nothing goes by like unhurt in today's day.
Exactly, like it's like that's the one thing is like you have to like really incorporate real life things, and if somebody does it like unintentionally. Oh, well, we gotta go with it. We gotta just deal with it. But like good promo, and like I'm this for me. The only thing is like I would love to see the Lucha Bros out of this and maybe get a tag team that is not as popular, just Angelico, somebody else, just because they need this kind of like roles and then to be featured like more prominent. Like
I don't understand how
the Lucha Bros need to be on their own. I don't need the Lucha Bros.
Yeah, I don't understand how you have them. They're one of the most legit teams in the entire wrestling world. Even if, you're not a fan of Lucha, you got to admit they're popular everywhere they go, and how they've just sunk into like this mid-card faction in the tag team. You know what I mean? It's like nothing against Kingston and the Butcher and the Blade, but it's like, what have they done legit in AEW? You know, not much. So
yeah, no, that's what I mean. So like, hopefully that's what like at least we get to see next week, like you said, because we didn't get any matches yet for Dynamite for next week. We had a little bit, just a few promos, but like hopefully we get that match with like QT Marshall and the Butcher or the Blade. It is the Blade, and hopefully we get that match. Hopefully he beats the crap out of it, and then he gets his wife back. And Ali goes back to like the team, that will be legit instead of like the Nightmare Sisters because the tournament's over. I don't know why that we've been talking about that. Jean Paul, let's talk about another tag team match that we had, and that's Le Champion Chris Jericho going with Jake Hager going against Private Party. And like you said, this match was really good. I like this. Private Party look good. They're really like they have a bright future when it comes to professional wrestling. And the one thing is like finally, Queen, he wasn't like screaming like Monica Seles. He wasn't doing like
oh, you mean Cassidy?
Oh, Cassidy, yeah, one of them. Yeah. Finally, he wasn't doing that, so I was actually really pleasant. I was really
and the one thing to make mention of, we saw Matt Hardy. He was done before this match, and we're like, oh my God, where's Guevara? Like, get him away from Matt Hardy. Like, what the fuck? Like, but no, it was probably Jericho because he comes by, he laughs like, it's done. Subscribe to Rope Break, so he leaves. And then that kind of set up like some heat for this match. And this match was good. And I think it was because they weren't in there with two other, flippy, high-flying guys. Jericho and Hager are grounded, and they kind of grounded these guys a little more. So when Private Party hit their spots, it was like, oh, shit. Like, this is legit. Because if everybody's doing spots, like, nothing feels legit. And, but this was good. And the story that they told in the match was good. They had the fire, they're fighting, and they actually had the upper hand a lot of times. But it's like, let's hit the big moves. We really got to try to put Jericho away. And Jericho hit the Judas effect, which I thought was good. And I don't know if AEW is just getting better with the camera flips, because as soon as he hit it, they cut the camera angle, and it made it look good. So I think they're either getting better with the camera angles or something. But, I mean, he hit the Judas effect on Cassidy. It looked good. 1, 2, 3. And I don't know if you took notice. Cassidy sold the shit out of that Judas effect. He had the twitchy hand and everything, and it was good. And then really Jericho, of course, beating him down afterwards. And then, Gwen. Go ahead.
Now, there you go. See, we got like the picture also. Like he applied like the walls of Jericho on that. And but see, I really like how Cassidy also like he got a lot of pin attempts on Jericho. And they were really close. So Jericho sold for them really good. And so like you can see that like they're really convinced that the Private Party can be like the future of what the tag team division is going to be on AEW. Maybe 2021 will be their year. That will be their moment. So I'm really, really excited about this. I'm really excited, like you said, and like the Judas effect, Jericho finally hits it more believable. I was told by a wrestler that like actually Jericho does it legit. That's what the quote unquote. We will not mention who it was. I will just say Jericho does it legit. Because like the one that Almas does, or like the one that Carrie's saying, like is more like not as powerful, but Jericho does it legit. Quote unquote. I said, I'd rather see Almas do it because the Jericho one is like looks crappy to me. This time didn't look as bad. I said I'd rather him finishing people with the code breaker, and that's what it is. But like you said, Jericho and Hager, they're just formed, and they're gonna start going through a lot of like tag teams. That way they can get momentum, and they're more believable when they go for like the number one contender. Is it going to be FTR? I'm not really sure. I don't know if they're going to do two heels, but maybe if they switch the titles to somebody else, I can really see Jericho and Jake Hager, challenging for those belts. What do you think, Mr. Leek?
I mean, I could see him challenging. You could easily do heel versus heel, but I don't think they're winning the belts.
Yeah.
I think this is just because Jericho's like, okay, I did the singles thing. Okay, I did the gimmick bullshit with Cassidy. Yeah, what do I do next? Because there's no reason for him and Hager to be a tag team to begin with.
It's just there's the one reason, like you said, the one reason is that it's just like what do I do next? One reason, and the second one, hey, I don't feel like doing all the singles work. Maybe because it's gonna be a little lighter.
It should. Well, I mean, Jericho don't even have to wrestle. You can just have him on the show, but he should be like helping Hager go after Brody Lee, and Santana and Ortiz should be going after FTR.
Yes. Now,
you know what I mean? You should have the stable still be connected, but
No, but they didn't do that.
I don't book the show, but maybe I should.
Yeah, but maybe you should. So Jean Paul, like we had like a little bit of Taz talking about Ricky Starks. I like how he goes the technical like aspects of with Taz. I think that's what the segment was calling. He was like how Ricky Starks does like that God Wrench power bomb, and I really like how he was like, well, the first one is the butterfly hook. And then he kind of measures, and then boom, done. And then the other one is just like the waist lock. he was talking about both of how he assessed the opponent. Meaning, like, if the one is like not too heavy or the one is like as heavy, then he changes how he grabs and delivers the move. So good stuff. I mean, if you enjoy like the technicality of wrestling,
and they had these before, and like a couple months ago when Taz first came on. So I mean, I thought that was good, and then they stopped doing them. So hopefully they, you don't have to do them every week, but maybe once every other week or something. I mean, I'd be fine with it once a week. What? It's like a 30-second little clip, it's
like
and it's
minute,
cool. Yeah.
2 minutes is really good. And now let's talking about great wrestling, Jean Paul. Let's talk about like the NWA, Women's Championship match that we have is Thunder Rosa, our girl, going against Ivelisse, Puerto Rican style, baby. They're going at it. This match was like pretty good, because Thunder Rosa is just amazing in the ring. And you just told me that she's been wrestling for 5 years. This woman is just amazing. Her matches are like just, must see for me. I really enjoy this. I would much rather to see Diamante because I just feel that between Ivelisse and Diamante is the better wrestler. But Ivelisse put on a really good show. I will not say it was, for me, Ivelisse is like decent, but with Thunder Rosa, she looked even better. At least for me, Jean Paul.
Yeah, and this actually, what you said, I believe this match is next week, or maybe it's the following week, but it'll be, Ivelisse and Diamante are going against Thunder Rosa and Hikaru Shida, so like we will get to see her wrestle. But I mean, I would like to see both of them, have a match against Thunder Rosa singles because I thought it was good, Ivelisse was a 16-year veteran, they said, so obviously she knows what she's doing. And Thunder Rosa is just, even though she's only like 5'4" or whatever in there, she's like, she can take command, like the drop kicks and the move, everything she hits, it looks legit.
Yeah.
It's not like a fairy, it's not like Riho, you know what I mean? It's not like whatever, like exactly, the Joshi Pro Warrior, like whatever princess, whatever the fuck Excalibur was saying at the pay-per-view, and everybody was like, what?
Oh, yeah.
They're like, what are you talking? But no, I mean, Thunder Rosa is legit, and like they're the ones who said on commentary, 5 years, and look how they're pretty much called her a prodigy. I agree, but of course, she gets the win, and the only thing I didn't like about the ending of it is when she picked her up for the tombstone, it was like taking forever. Now, obviously, I'd rather have it take forever and hold her correctly so there's no injury.
That's what it was.
But I mean, if you're just watching it from a realistic standpoint, you're like, so
yeah. Well,
but again, injuries comes first.
You answer yourself. It's just like it took forever because he was trying to hold her correctly. I was thinking the same thing.
And that might go back to what I said earlier, how she's only like 5'4", 5'5".
Yeah, that's also because they're around the same height. So I think when she was trying to make sure that she was held correctly, and then deliver the move. And I really like. Well, she said also in a lot of interviews, she says she's not done with the MMA. She said, I'm going to have a few matches there. She's not done. She has like a special deal with AEW, so she can be there. Also, like she's going to still be an NWA Jean Paul. We're going to talk about this a little bit more on Saturday. They hold on a first show. Mike Bennett with Maria Kanellis. They went with Nick Aldis. They had a really great match. The National Treasure retained, so it was good. So like I think Thunder Rosa will be featured on that because all with that momentum that she's had. So she needs to have a match with Camille. I think that's going to be the money match. Camille and Thunder Rosa for maybe the next episode that they do a show. So it was good. And like you said, the tombstone, she pins Ivelisse, good stuff. And then Diamante and Ivelisse start attacking Thunder Rosa. But then we got to see our AEW champion, Hikaru Shida. She kind of stepped in and then she started defending, helping out, like you said, Thunder Rosa. And then Friends. Let's
and they're gonna have the tag match, like I said, next week. One thing to notice, obviously, they focused on it a lot. She picked up the NWA Women's Championship. She was looking at it like, okay, I could be 2 belts, Shida. I could see that, but I don't want to see that. That's the only thing because I'm like, is she gonna wrestle in NWA? I don't see Hikaru Shida like. I don't see that being an NWA. There's no. I'm sorry, and nothing against her because obviously I'm a fan of hers, but no, I don't see it happening. But I mean, if they want to do another match between these two later down the line, I'll see it. But I don't want to see it recently because then it'll just be overexposed. These two.
I think that it will be a good. I think it will be a good match, but is she really gonna defend it? Like you said, unless she's gonna win it and then drop it right away, or like Thunder Rosa gets her win down. You know what I mean? She could actually get a win and be like 1-1. Hey, we're good. If they want to keep Thunder Rosa, also give her more momentum.
I mean, if they do that, then I need to see a match 3 where both titles are on the line.
Yeah, well, there you go. So,
but not right away. That you can say for like the
maybe you can say for All Out for
yeah.
next year. Something. Give it time. Give it like the story to kind of like go separate, and then take care of that. But like let's go example really quickly to like Lazancher. He had a match. Well, not even a match. He just came out and then he started attacking a guy with a mask. So I thought it was like Lince Dorado or like Grand Metalik. I'm like, why are they on AEW? But like he pretty much destroyed him. And then the Snake was cutting a promo and talking about, pretty much like that you gotta ally with, like, if you have enemies, you gotta ally with them, and he wants to ally with like the Tasmanian Devil. So like he's aligning with like the Taz, the group that he has with Brian Cage and also Ricky Starks. So pretty much like the deal is they're gonna help him out, or they're gonna be by his side, while as long as like he wins the AEW Championship, and then the first match that he's gonna give is gonna be to Brian Cage for the title. So that's what it was. I mean, I like the promo up until then, and then we got to see Gian Moxley, and this is like I wasn't too happy with this, but like walk me through it, Jean Paul, and then tell me what you thought about this.
I mean, the first half of it I thought was good. And I was like, okay, because they're going to have a 6-man tag, like they said, it's Moxley's the captain, you could say, on the one side, and Lance Archer on the other. So then we know who Lance's 2 partners are, because, of course, Dynamite, I'm surprised there wasn't one tonight, always has to have a 6-man tag.
Yeah.
So, we have the 6-man tag for next week, and it's like, now who's Moxley's partner? So he comes out. Then they beat the shit out of him because as he's walking, somebody from the crowd is like, yeah, and it's Ricky Starks. So they, obviously they start beating him down. And then Big E comes out, because, Will Hobbs comes out. And then, swinging the chair because he's on SmackDown Live, AEW Dynamite. Yep. And, he's like, okay, my boy Kofi, okay, no, enough of the jokes, but, he had a good showing in the Battle Royal, so they're going to push him. I guess they just said he was signed. Yeah, which I thought he was already signed, and he was just maybe like a star of AEW Dark. Apparently, they just signed him. So, hey, that's good for him. He definitely has the look. He's jacked as all hell. He seems very athletic. He's the one who hugged Matt Sydal in the famous clip.
Yes.
So, yeah. So, that's legit. But, this is, now we know who the one partner is, and it's like, okay, who's the next? Is it going to be a mystery man? But it would have been obvious even if they left it for a mystery, because it's, of course, he's like, oh, Darby Allin, I know you're watching at home, man. He's like, you're going to be on my team, man. Like, let's do it. And it's like, okay.
Let's go to war.
I'm not excited for this match. Just, I don't know why you couldn't have had these heels cut this promo and then just have the heels look legit. Like, that's the one thing with Tony Khan and his booking. The heels never look legit. They might look legit if they're beating, like, a bullshit guy, like a Joey Janela, somebody like that, like, okay, whatever, like, who cares? But it's like, anytime it's a top baby face, they always have to have, like, the last laugh.
Very rarely they get the upper hand, when it comes to, like, the shows leading to a pay-per-view. And see, that's what I didn't like either, because I know, like, the one thing is, like, I would much rather see Moxley and Archer don't touch each other until the 14th. But if we actually do memory, we saw them in Wrestle Kingdom, so it will be kind of like hypocritical to be like, well, I don't want.
But see, that should have been the only promos. They should cut like, oh yeah, remember Wrestle Kingdom, remember blah blah blah, the Death Rider, I'm legit,
That should have been the story.
Yeah, but
they didn't do that, So like, well, we'll see what they do. But I am thinking that the heels are gonna win. The heels have to win, because if not, if the faces win, what's the point then? What's the point of having the match?
Well, I think the heels are easily going to win this one. But another match for next week that we'll say is that your boy, Freshly Squeezed, is going against Brody Lee.
Oh, well, we'll see.
Bullshit match. Bullshit match. But
I mean, you said it, though. It's like, and see, with your words, you said, hey, he is not ready to the main title. So maybe, like, hey, kind of a little bit of a program till Cody comes back. Cody's going to be filming the big show or whatever show that he's doing with Stephen Amell and all of that. So, like, hey, which guy has momentum? He's a babyface. Freshly Squeezed. Like you said, it's like he's not.
I feel like he's gonna lose against Brody Lee. So it's like we saw 14 weeks of Jericho for him to lose with no build against Brody Lee, and then
maybe this could be the start of something. But like I agree with you. Like they're not gonna change hands the title with Cassidy. Brody Lee. No, they need to keep the Dark Order hot.
Yes.
They need to do that. And on top of that, Jean Paul, we actually saw a promo from Miro. We wanted to see, because he's all elite. We were thinking a match. No, not yet. They're going to keep going with promos until the 14th. I think they're going to release the Beast on the 14th. So we got to see a promo with Kip Sabian and also Penelope Ford, because he's the best man, Jean-Paul. The best man will speak. And he did, but the promo was like pretty simple, like a minute, even like a minute and a half to say tops. And it was pretty much like they were actually training. They were just lifting weights, and Miro is like, yeah, I'm gonna fight, I'm gonna be legit, it's good. And then he's like, well, remember, like, you're going to be the best man. Oh, yeah. And we're going to have a great bachelorette party or bachelor party and all of that. And they were just talking about that. So, I mean, I didn't care much for the promo. I mean, Kip Sabian was actually, he seems more interested in, like, the bachelor party. And you could see how Penelope Ford is like, really?
I'm already losing steam in it. I mean, the one saving grace from this in the beginning when Miro was like pumped up and he was like old school Rusev when he was the Bulgarian brute and he's just all pissed off. And then I'm hoping at the wedding, like he gets pissed off with Kip Sabian and just beats the shit out of him.
Yeah,
but let me just say, how bullshit is it that? And other people have said this too, so this isn't no groundbreaking thing here, but the last angle we saw him was a wedding.
Oh, yeah.
Now he's coming back into this wedding.
Example, they asked him that, and he said, you know what? Weddings are fun. That's what he
said. And also, let's be honest. And both companies are guilty of it, so I'm not trying to be like, pick one side or the other, but they're like, let's do it to parody WWE.
Yeah.
Let's copy them. Yeah.
And he kind of defended. He's like, hey, he's like, I enjoy weddings, and every time that I've been in a segment like that, he's like, had really great numbers. People actually being interested.
Maybe he likes cake.
I mean, well, he can join us. He can join the club. So so it was like quick, but we'll see. I want to see Miro fighting, but until we're going to see a few promos, I think that the story is not ready for him to be told. So we'll wait. It's fine. He just got there. Whatever he said, he got he was almost joining Impact. He was in talks, but he didn't like the direction. Maybe he thought AEW was better. So we'll see what they do. Main event time, Jean-Paul. Parking lot match. This was potentially up to the last 3 minutes was probably one of the best matches I ever seen in 2020. This is the kind of cases, Jean-Paul, that the feud leading up to the match is absolutely trashy, but the match turns out to be amazing. This was one of them, and sometimes it's actually the opposite. The match is actually trash, but the promos and everything, the leading up to it is absolutely great. I really love this.
Yeah, before you continue, I just want to touch on that point. I agree more than 100% if I could. The fact that during this match they say, oh, this is because they bleached their uniforms and, oh, they beat up Sue's van. I'm like, can you shut up about the story? Because you're really making me hate this match, that, this great match, that this seems like a blood feud and it's over bleach clothing and your mom's van. Like, do you know what I mean? That took me, it killed it. I'm like, Tony Schiavone, just shut up. Let me watch the match, because you're going to go into, they beat the hell out of each other, and this is one of the best street fights I ever saw, besides a little bit of no selling, from some of the big spots. I mean, this was brutal. This was good.
We saw blood, we saw a little color, and like you said, it was just intense. I loved it. It reminded me a little bit of Eddie Guerrero with John Cena, the Texas street fight, for the United States Championship. It was good. We got to see a catapult, on top of the cars, and they broke the
now,
window.
Do you remember the spot where he set up the chair and where Ortiz set up? I mean, not the chair. Excuse me, the table or the door.
Yeah.
And then Trent speared him through it.
Yes.
Jr. no sold that like a fart at 7 a.m. when he woke up. He was like, oh. And see, that's the thing. If he'd be like, oh, my God, freak out. It's
Mamma Mia, right?
Yeah, then you're going to be like, oh, shit. But if commentary is the highest they go is a 4 for a spot like that, what am I supposed to care? So that also, sometimes the commentary is a little lazy.
Tell me about the 2x4. The 2x4, you were saying.
Yeah, and then he had Santana had the 2x4. Obviously they're gimmick 2x4s, but he completely broke this 2x4 on Trent's back. Within 10 seconds, Trent is up beating the shit out of him. Commentary can't even be like, oh, his adrenaline's flying. They're just like, oh, look at Trent. I don't know how he's not feeling the effects. And it's like, yeah, you're saying the same thing because you're like, oh, this is bullshit. But you're try to cover it.
You're
like I said,
to tell me more, because it was good though. It was good.
Yeah, and then when they power bombed Trent on top of a car, and then they power bombed him through the windshield, and that was legit.
Was amazing. That spot was great. When they did that, Santana and Ortiz wearing the face paint. I love that. When you like is it's a big match, it like it's something like not of the regular thing that you do, and you use a little bit of like a different gear, a little bit of like a different prop. I love it. And that spot for me, I was like, this is amazing. When Trent goes like and then you see like the back and nothing yet. And then you kind of like 2 seconds after that, you see like the back completely like bleeding and all the windshield. Great. But then, Jean-Paul, like you said, like a few more spots that were really good. Something with Chucky T, they kind of like threw him into like one of the cars or something that he was done.
He just like Ortiz or Santana was just punching him, with left and rights, and he had him knocked out. And then Ortiz took Trent on top of a truck, and there was like a wood panel and everything, draped across the bed. And then you see the lights flashing, and I'm like, oh no. I'm like, what? I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, maybe that's a cue for like, do the move and do because Ortiz or Santana had a lead pipe and he was going to hit.
He was going to beat him. Yeah, he was going to whack him with it.
But then the trunk opens. Orange Cassidy jumps out, and then it's like, are you kidding me? Because if Orange Cassidy comes out, then that just Santana or Ortiz, they're not winning. That was guaranteed. They're not going to win.
And also, see, Jean-Paul, the one thing is like they're baby faces. They don't need another person to help them out. That takes away the purity of the match. It's like 4 guys going against each other. Why you add the other guy? To me, it's just like, no. Because it's like you're telling me that like the best friends need another person to beat Santana and Ortiz.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
And no, I don't either. If anything, it could have been Sammy Guevara come out for the other team, and then the baby faces triumph. But see, I don't think they needed to, because the best friends, they're always booked 50-50, and they've been just riding the wave of Orange Cassidy. They're not getting pushed on their legitness. They're in a feud, like they said, over somebody's fucking van. You know what I'm saying? So it's like nobody really cares about them as like a team. They cared about this match because it was a hell of a match. But when you do that, you make the baby faces look even more stupid. But I think the certain fans are just going to pop because they saw Orange Cassidy.
And that's it. But for me, at least, I didn't like that. It's just because, again, the purity of the match is supposed to be keeping the 4 guys because it was going well. You don't need Orange Cassidy in it, especially when Orange Cassidy plays such a determining factor, because he beat or Santana with like he was like a chain. He got a chain and wrap around like his hand and like do Superman punch into that, and that pretty much destroys the whole thing. Because even the best friends won, because then Trent did the dead eye, or like like his finishing move. What is the name of that move, Jean-Paul?
They said
it, but it's just like, for me, it's like the dead eye, because they're very similar.
I think it's like the crunchy or something. Him and Trent and Chucky T both have stupid fucking names for their finishers. The awful waffle and the crunchy.
Yeah.
Can you please be fucking legit and have like actual names for them?
That's what I mean. So like, he did that, and it was good though, because he did it onto like another wood panel or something, and then he pinned, I think it was Ortiz. But like, I'm not invested anymore because you already did that, so I know that it's not pure, and that was the match that you could have easily sold me on. Be like, they're the best tag team out of the 2 is the best friends. Not for me, because they always need Orange Cassidy. That's all I have to say. That's for me. I really didn't like that, but otherwise the match was amazing. And
I was thinking Santana and Ortiz were going to win here because, like we said, you have Orange Cassidy challenging for the TNT title, and I was hoping, okay, maybe that'll be a program, not just a one-off match, and then you can have the best friends help him out because there's all the guys in the Dark Order. What's Orange Cassidy going to fight them all off? I mean, I could see Tony Khan booking that, but it wouldn't make sense. You should have the best friends help him. But with the best friends winning here, I'm like, well, they should probably challenge FTR sooner than later. But if we go back to the beginning of the show, what did we say? They don't even know what the fuck the division is all.
Yes. So, or at least we got to watch AEW Dark to see who the #1 contender is. But I did like how like they win the match, and then the mom is right there in the band, and then the mom has the middle finger and he gives her that, and everybody's like, yeah,
that was legit, because when she stopped, I was like, I'm like, why did she stop the band? Doesn't she know the camera's still on the car? Like, this is like so weird. And then she's like,
it was the bird, and it was really cool. I mean, that was good, but again, it's just like for me, Jean-Paul, like, you don't need that extra guy, especially when you're a babyface. If you're a babyface,
that killed it. That killed it for me.
Well, we're gonna talk about that concept, even a little more tomorrow in NXT, because we have Fandango and Tyler Breeze going against Imperium. And if you show me that, we're not gonna give you the result, but I'm saying like, if they're good enough as babyfaces, they should be able to retain, right? So we're going to leave that open-ended right there for you guys. But like, see, AEW at least gave us a good Dynamite. Always, a little tweaks to, here and there to fix. But overall, good show. So thank you so very much, family, for being with every single one of us. We enjoy having you, and we hope that you are enjoying the content. Jean-Paul, remind everybody where they can find us in the social media world.
We can find us under Rope Break on Facebook, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, the original Rope Break on Instagram, and of course, the best podcast in the YouTube wrestling community, the original Rope Break, right here on YouTube.
That's right, Jean-Paul. And you and me, Juan, one more thing left to say before saying, be with us tomorrow for NXT, Jean-Paul and myself. Bright early in the morning, great show. So you and me have one more thing that is left to say, and that is...